ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Trav's Told You. October. It is not. It's November 12th, 2025. Already in the middle of November. My God. Like, I think I said this almost every cast, like every month, once in a while, like, oh, time goes fast. But really, October felt like just that. Like, it's going to be this whole fall because not only podcast-wise, just life-wise busy. Right now, we're trying to plan like the yearly GeekVerse get-together for Christmas. We usually do one for Halloween, Christmas, and then something in summer and whatnot with like kind of everybody, right? Spouses, everything. And man, there's like one day, which is somebody like one day, and that's the only day it works. But luckily it's all good stuff, you know, kid stuff, Nutcracker, everybody got other things going on. Obviously, Taylor Mass and are expecting baby number 2. We're filming in the next couple weekends, myself, Taylor, and I guess I could say Kyle's going to be in the film. We got 2 weeks of that. Got a fade before Taylor's done. But no, it is a busy fall and winter coming up. So fun, but not fun. So luckily yesterday, didn't do too much. We talked about the newscast yesterday. I was, supposed to get some more rest here, not be hosting, because obviously I did it, but that felt like a fever dream. It was a good conversation with me and Taylor, but we reviewed it, episode 3, and then yesterday was supposed to be a night off. No night off, because Kirkland probably just slept, but didn't know it was his day. Yeah, all right, sure. But yeah, good to be back. I'll look at the calendar now, but I think for the most part, we should be back to the regular Monday to Wednesdays. Yeah, I think we're good for a bit. I think the time is going to change right now to 11 a.m. PST. We'll see. It kind of fluctuates with the day job, right? Because there's something else going on. But right now, it kind of works a little bit better if I go 1.5 hours earlier. So 1.5 hour earlier? Yeah, so obviously, if you're listening after the fact, doesn't matter. But that's going to be kind of the plan right now. It's going live at 11 a.m. PST. We can kind of go from there and see what's happening. Hopefully, we'll see. It's always like a lack of news if news keeps coming out after. I've thought about going later in the day too, but who knows? But like I said, I'm going to do this at least until January, and then we'll pick up after. Obviously, you can go look. We did officially put it out there. We announced it. We hinted at it, then we announced that Extra Life. We got a whole slew of benefits now for patrons that are coming 2026. I think next week on GV episode with the boys, we'll break down all those. But yeah, if you multiple exclusive episodes for each tier, phase 2 and up. But if you want every single episode we do, because now the Patreon producers, not only do you get to vote, which today, Patreon producers, after this, the poll will go live. Let me read off the options here. It is quite the wild poll, but our video game movie retrospective we'll be recording next week, and the options are, if I can have this load and whatever, options are Minecraft. Mike, I've said this before, some people just put in things to torture us. I have seen Minecraft, but to review it would be brutal. But today, Patreon producers, you get to vote on Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Pixels starring Adam Sandler, S-Bubs. I did ask the other guys. They said it counts as a video game movie, so I digress. I was not with them. I didn't even say that. I was not with them, but, there you go. Werewolves Within, Doom, and the Minecraft movie. I won't say what I want to win there, but yeah, producers, you'll be voting on that, and you have 2 days. And then we're going to review that. And yeah, Running Man. You got Kirkland, Terry Moore doing that because I got busy with some dance. But yeah, I'd say up until the week of Christmas, obviously, because the week of Christmas, I'll probably be at the in-laws for some stuff. So I'll say right now, 22 to 25th, probably not doing any Trash Told Yous. There might be one of those two. My daughter has Nutcracker practice, Gwen. That might not get in the way of it, but yeah, lots of good stuff happening. Hope everyone's doing well. Again, before we get into some news, a little lighter, we're just talking about Mario and some box office stuff. Nothing too crazy right now. Me and Taylor broke down a bunch of news last night, so you can go look at that. We talked about the V for Vendetta show, the Jimmy Olsen show, the Doom rumors, lots of trailers. So we, usually, I do something more evergreen if there's no topic, but luckily Mario dropped, and that kind of spurred an idea. But yeah, again, a big thank you. We'll probably do it at least a couple more times. I still want to make a big video as far as the event because it was a hell of a good time. A big thank you to everyone that donated, tuned in, shared the link to Extra Life. We hit our goal of 1,500, and then we also passed $20,000 for Extra Life for the BC Children's Hospital over 9 years. Pretty happy with that. Even if we got 10K these past 10 years, 1,000 a year, that'd be great. But 20K That's incredible. Obviously, we're there every year. We're staying up. We're doing the show, but we like legitimately. That's the most community thing. We could not do this without each and every one of you, whether you're liking the video or donating. We couldn't do that at all. You're buying the shirts. Like it is a full on team effort, and very proud of that. Next year's a 10 year, so we got to go even bigger. But yeah, it was, and I don't know why. Who knows? There's some tech issues, but we're just lucky. So next year, both streams will have to do, I don't know, outlive them. But the GV Day one, that obviously that was the 10 year. That was very special. Just felt like a big celebration. But the show and the day alone was just fantastic. And that Extra Life, that was the funnest one I've done right now. And plus, it. Part of the reason we stopped doing Gauntlet, which finished third. My thumb, I talk about news. My thumb is even worse. So I feel like at least who knows what me and Dylan would have picked, but me getting the semifinals with Tyler Saris, feel like I probably would have won because I had to control with this stick. I probably, I should be given some sort of buy next year or some additional points, right? I'll have to bring it up, but with Gauntlet, the reason we stopped doing it was obviously first COVID happened. We're getting the news, don't worry. S-Bubs, what are you saying here? He said, I didn't know if Pixels would qualify, but I put it anyways. I must have seen that movie like 10 years ago. Or 10 times? What are you doing watching Pixel 10 times? When was the last time? I've not seen Pixels ever. That was in the era of like I did not hate Adam Sandler the person, but I hated the performer. Just after Grown Ups to like I don't know when, maybe Uncut Gems, I could, and the Netflix stuff. He was putting out some of the worst stuff, and I love Sandler, right? Loved him on SNL, loved a lot of his 90s movies. I love his drama stuff now. Uncut Gems is for me a phenomenal film. That era when he was doing Jack and Jill and the Grown Ups and that, just some of those dog shit awful stuff. The Netflix stuff like Sandy Wexler and the Hateful Eight or whatever was the Hateful, no, was it, that's Tarantino. What was, someone let me know, what was this cowboy movie he did with all his friends? Like it was just like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're putting in effort, but to me it's like when we say, hey, when we're making movies, some of it is us hanging out, but when we're filming, we get down to and get serious. Feels like those movies don't even get to that point, right? So we'll see if Pixels wins that would be like, I don't want it to happen. So okay, hang on, I just want to see what's this here. Damon Wayans, Kim Wayans, and Heidi Gardner cast in Scary Movie 6. Okay, nothing crazy, but that's cool to have some more Wayans in there. Just Google Pixel Rotten Tomatoes real quick. It has to be 0, right? It's 0 on the audience score is probably something bad. Let's see, Pixel Rotten Tomatoes. 18% and 46%. 18% is actually higher than I thought it was going to be, yes, Bub. So I guess I'll take that as a good thing. But yeah, I do not want to watch that movie, but as the producers, you guys are the top tier. I'll show the producers right now. They get to pick, and we do it for you. Thank you to Aaron Braden, April Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Superman Mike, Godless69, Charlie Rynell, Cocktail Clay, John No H, and Sam Green. And I'm going to edit that because we are taking that person, that in-joke off up there for obvious reasons. That's happened the past little week. So those are the producers, but a big thank you. Like we said, you're going to get 30 episodes next week or next year exclusive. That's a lot. But anyways, going back to everything with the stream, why it was probably the most fun is with Gauntlet, we did, I'll say I love Gauntlet. So I'll talk about this for just a couple minutes, then we'll get into Mario in the box office. But and just to recount some of the stuff, we did the tournament, and then we did the 2 seasons, and then every Extra Life we do. And there's been 5 tournaments in total now, including the last one, right? But another reason we stopped is because like COVID happened. That was tough. And then for a while you couldn't even see each other. So the seasons very sporadically. Season 3 is like 2.5 years, right? Never got a full ending. It's all over the place. There's 2 people that had to vacate their title in that time, So that happened. And then also Amber moved, Dylan moved, Jessica became less available. So really, if you looked, I think there's like like it was just like me, Tyler Sarah, Taylor Field, and Kirkland Batzer, and that was it. And there's only so much you can do with that, and that's why we did the final. And also too, that we talked about in our, if you look at the retrospective episode, which you should go back, that was to promote the Gauntlet we released last week. But it's still tons of fun behind the scenes. If you liked anything and some kind of like behind the scenes stories and some arguments we've got over the years, it was fun to revisit. But what also was the big thing was we just didn't have like, go watch, and I'm going to in the next few weeks. Obviously, this week I'm just recovering from the stream still, but I'm going to cut out the matches one by one and put them out over the next few weeks. So if people want to watch them, and plus for me in the future for editing, they're right there. But the Strikers match, it was, if people don't know, it was Kirkland and Kyle versus Dylan and Tyler Greenhall, aka Hidalgo. You guys have heard us mention him on the stream before. He's going to be part of our filming soon. He's one of Kirkland's longtime friends. I should ask how long they've been friends. I'll just say one of his best friends. I don't know if I can give them the BF status. I don't know their thing, but they're very close. I would say from my point of view, the person I hear Kirkland talking the most outside the cast is Tyler. And when Gauntlet was before, there was a year we're going to bring him in, and then he couldn't make it, and then the year after we said, we're ending it. So it never happened. So that surprise, we pulled it off, and that was great. And so that's who I'm mentioning when I'm talking about Hidalgo here. But the Strikers match, it was Dylan and Hidalgo versus Kirkland and Kyle. There's a lot of good matches this weekend. That's the other reason too. Even though I lost, and even though Dylan fucking won again, broke my record, we were tied at 2 apiece. So that's it. I would say it stinks, but the tournament was so good that it really didn't sting. Like, other than 2 matches, every match was great. And don't get me wrong, we've had tournaments before that, like, almost every match stunk up until it was like, oh, we got one great one, right? You never know because we do random, but that makes it fair. That match, one of the greatest matches I've ever seen between Dylan and Sarah, or Dylan and Tyler versus Kirkland and Kyle, especially because like Kyle and Tyler not really played hadn't played the Strikers at all. And you go back, see her reaction, use one of the photos. It was hype. And that was this thing where like that was missing. Gauntlet with the entrances and also just with the people, the cheering, that like when we're in that room, the vibe, it was so fun. And it's funny that like Kyle came and he ended up staying the whole 24 hours, other than a few times we went to go get food. Tyler Saris was there, and he was there for a long time because he has kids now, or a kid. And I said, oh, you got to be out of here soon. Oh, well, I got a bunch of time. And then Jessica popped over. So it's funny that we're like, okay, even if we do a Gauntlet and it's just us 4, we'll figure it out, have some fun. It's in person. That's good. But like a bunch of people from the past showed up, stayed longer. We had a new people. Like, it was perfect. And that's where we can't do that all the time. But it was awesome. That tournament, it was tons of fun. It was a great time. So yeah, thank you to everyone that did tune in. I'm very excited for next year. And I'm excited that hopefully we can get that same amount of people there. But it was a really good time. That match was, man, it was crazy. And that's what Gauntlet is, where it's, the entrances, the trash talk, the yes, I will confirm here, I did throw the Switch Sports match, but I had to. And I don't think they were mad, but I'll tell you, when I was in the room, I could feel all of them were really salty. I could feel Kirkland and Dylan the most. People don't know you could bet on matches, and Kirkland kind of let it slip that he had bet on me. So, and I kind of, I'd heard them kind of scuttlebutt back there, and I just feel like, they probably did bet on me. I do have a bet, like, I've beaten Kyle quite a bit in the Gauntlet, and Kyle doesn't game as much in specific games, so I did throw it, and it was great strategy because it got me there. But that's where I love kind of being the heel, because they were, I could feel the salt in the room going on. So thank you everyone for checking that out. It was tons of fun. I finished third. I literally go back and watch the match, the tiebreaker between me and Saris. We're like, it was we did a Grand Prix in Mario Kart, which I have terrible history in the Gauntlet. It was either the second race, I think it's the third race, where a CPU hit me with 3 red shells. Not even Saris. If it's Saris doing it and he beats me, that's fine. That's strategy. 3, like, Birdo just decided to come at me. I hate it. I hate Mario Kart so much. But yeah, so let's see here. What's going on here? But anyway, so we got the Mario trailer. I'll pull that up right now. So my excitement, I don't know. I guess I should actually look to Super Mario Galaxy. I don't think it makes a big difference, but is it the same directors, let's say movie or director? I just feel like Illumination has a lot of like double duo directors here. Let's see. So Aaron Horoff and Michael Jelenic. Okay, let's take a look here and see if it's the same guys that did the first one. Yeah, it is. And and that's a weird thing too, because Teen Titans Go, which I didn't love, but like that had some fun humor in there. Oh, they also worked on Brave and the Bold. I enjoy those more. As I've talked about before, yeah, Mushroom Kingdom, here we come. We never got that in the movie. That's their biggest sin, but I liked the movie enough. I think it wasn't as special as that first trailer. I thought we were going to get something very magical, almost like a Force Awakens like, where it really just felt like a bunch of Nintendo Switch and Wii U cutscenes put together in a quick movie with some dialogue added, you know? And I've said before, there's some choices in there, some type of the humor, some of the song choices. I did not enjoy it, but obviously tons of people did. I thought it was the biggest movie of that year, and I kind of forgot it was not. It was actually Barbie that ended up being the biggest movie that year, but it made like I'll take a look at it, like 1.4 billion, like massive movie, right? And tons of people do enjoy it, so that's fine. I get it. I'm not here to yuck someone's yum. If you enjoy it, I do understand. I think it's in like a turn your brain off type of enjoyment. And I know someone might go like, oh, well, what did you expect Mario to be? I don't know. But just like I said, to have some sort of more weight to it, not just be so fluffy and so like the runtime, especially too, like it just kind of feels like a big nothing burger. It looks great. I like the way they all look. I just thought it was going to have a little more heart. Because even then, like, I know Illumination does like the Minions movies, right? And those kind of spam to get money. But if you watch, at least I'd say Despicable Me 1 to 3, Despicable Me 1 to 3, especially 1 and 2, those got some heart in there with Gru and the kids. Like, there's a story there, right? So I don't just write off Illumination like everybody else, but let's pull up this trailer here. So my excitement for this is very muted. My excitement is I get to go see this with the kids, and I just hope it's better than the last one. I hope it's something where they go, oh, we learned we're not going to do the licensed music. We're going to change a little bit this, but I don't think so. What is there to learn? They made 1.4 billion. I think they're okay on what they want to do, right? So let me take a look here. Hopefully this isn't too loud, but all right. Got Bowser. He's still little. Again, I'm on the other side, right? Peaches, did not enjoy that. This trailer, and I actually don't need to break this down. There's not much, like I do, but I mean, like I don't need to watch this here. I'll pull the whole thing. Obviously, he's still little. I think it's a fun enough gimmick, like the story of, okay, it's Bowser pretending to be good, so they'll let him out. Okay, that works great. You got this little castle here. They're letting him run pretty free roamed. I'm surprised. Bowser is a questionable guy. S-Bubs, you'll see he's got the Dallon Cows treatment going on here with the portrait of Bowser and Peach together. But I'm sure he's going to sing a bunch. Cool. Again, we're going to be going to some other places. I don't think we went anywhere near the water last time with these little squid guys, so that's cool. You're going to be going to the desert place. I can't remember, it's sand something. But again, visually, these movies look great. Bowser Jr., I can't remember if we had heard he's in there. We got confirmed some castings where Benny Safdie's in there. I think that's great. I would love it. It doesn't sound like he's doing that, but I would love it if, like, he would have like a Oppenheimer type of voice. But so he's in there, and then they also, which we'll get to confirm, which is, there's not much of a trailer. He's gonna get his dad out. Cool, makes sense. And then Rosalina, which was like obviously a no duh, because it is called Mario Galaxy. We did get the news Brie Larson is cast today. I've seen some people be like, oh man, why would you do that? Like, first of all, I understand from. I don't actually. I was gonna say I don't really, because I feel like most people that are mad at Brie Larson, when I think about all the things they're mad about her, it's stuff that are very red eye thumbnail, go woke, go broke route. Right? Like, I think there's sometimes where she'll say certain things in a tone that doesn't seem the most appealing to people, but that doesn't make me hate said actor or actress. And I also don't think that, the Marvel suit, don't think that was her fault, and I don't think that people go, oh, she's a controversial figure, divides people. I don't think people think, oh, Brie Larson's voicing Rosalina. Me and my kids aren't going to see this, I'll watch for Brie Larson as Mario Elsa. Well, there you go. Yeah, it does look a lot like that. So I like, from a acting standpoint, I like Brie Larson a lot. I kind of aren't, or I don't know, my words are all over the place. I'm still out of practice. I'm still tired from Saturday. I don't love the route her career's going after Room. Really enjoyed Room and enjoyed a lot of stuff. I was on the bandwagon. I was like, yeah, I think she should be Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. I don't think those movies have given her any favors. I don't think they've been up to the stuff of an actress she can be. And then stuff like Fast, Mario, that's a fine choice. You know, like it's give your voice to a kid franchise, sure, but there's been some odd choices for her career. So I'd like to see some other stuff from her, but let's see. I'm with you, Mike. Brie Larson and Rachel Zelger are both unjustly crucified by the internet. I'm with you because again, with like I've said this before, take everything out of it, right? When you go back to Rachel, and one of the things was her talking bad about the original Snow White, and that was this big point of contention. I don't know why people care so much. You know, like I like I guess those must be people that have just unlimited amount of money, no problems, everything's good in life, and like the Snow White originals being trashed on by the actress. It's like, who cares? Don't watch it. Now, granted, a lot of people did not watch that movie, but I don't think it was just because of her. I think it's like a bevy of reasons, including that people didn't want to see Snow White, right? And these live action remakes. But yeah, I think they're in there. There's probably some other ones too, but Brie Larson and her are that. So it's like when there was this hubbub, oh man, they cast her as Rosalina. That's a risky choice. No, not really. They're not gonna care, right? People aren't gonna care that sense. So I think the trailer looks more of the same of what it was before. There, when they're in the desert place, you had them on the bikes. So there you go. You got some more like kind of Mario Kart representation. I'm not expecting a big leap of or a change in quality because to me, they made a lot of money doing what they did the last time, right? I think it's going to be that too, where it's like a cutscene with a lot of member berries, a lot of oh look at that, oh look at that. I was watching Sunrise of Skywalker, and it's like I feel like the Mario movie has a lot of those isms at its worst, where it's a lot of you remember this when you were a kid, right? It's pretty cool, and that's all it is. So, I was gonna say surprised there's no Yoshi, but at the same time, we got a long time till April, so I feel like there's another trailer. There's gonna have to because I feel like they're gonna market and sell a lot more toys and plushes on that. So you'll get Yoshi. So yeah, we'll see. And that's where we're gonna look as far as the box office goes. As well says, I still haven't seen a second of footage for Snow White Remake. Never seen a trailer or clip for the movie. If it wasn't a movie fan, I wouldn't even know it exists. That's crazy. Like any of the Disney movies you went to, like Marvel or anything like that, you didn't see it. Yeah, I don't know. Like obviously we see it. We talk about the news, and I got the kids, but I can't remember if I even saw it in the theaters, but yeah. So with this, obviously the last one, let me bring it up here. So yeah, okay, sorry, I was wrong. 1.35, right? And even to start it off, Mike had a good question because these are the big behemoths, right? Talked about last night in news. Toy Story 5 and this, what makes more money? I just have to confirm what Toy Story 4 made. Now, obviously, that's 2019, the height of the box office, pre-COVID. Like, that's the time where movies were just in their sleep making billions of dollars, right? But that was like, wasn't it almost like close to 2 billion or something like that? Or am I wrong? Oh, no, it's 1 point. Well, look at that. That kind of is my answer right there. 1 billion, 1.074 billion for Toy Story 4, and then Super Mario is making 1.4. I just think Mario has a bit more traction nowadays. Obviously, I think that Toy Story is always a big brand, but Buzz Lightyear still crash and burn, right? There's a bunch of reasons for that. Maybe they didn't like the real life aspect. They want the toys. Maybe they miss Woody. They want the whole gang. Whatever it is, that still is like a mark on it, right? And I feel that Nintendo, I can't say it's bigger than ever, but I don't know. Like chat, like, am I wrong in making a claim? Then like, I think it could be bigger than ever. Like Switch 2, don't forget Inside Out beat Mario though. Yeah, but the thing is with Inside Out 2 though, that felt like an Incredibles where people were waiting for a sequel for a long time. Where I think Toy Story is the opposite, where I don't think the GA is like us of like why they're doing Toy Story 5. But I don't think the juice is there. I don't think it's like, oh man, I haven't seen these guys in a long time. It's like, yeah, we've seen them quite a bit, and I think it also does feel I think of course, the GA, we're speaking of Minecraft, will go and just see mindless stuff. But I think there is sometimes a point where the general audience gets tired and go, okay, I'm ready to move on from this, right? And I do think there's a sense of those last two movies, 3 being like an ending and then 4 being another ending. It's kind of like, well, didn't we do this right? Like, I do think there's a good shot. Let me take a look too. Let's see, Toy Story. Let me get 2006. I was gonna say I think there is a shot that Toy Story 5 will be successful. I have no doubts about that. But I do think there's a chance it couldn't make a billion. Like look at this, and that's where it's tough. So June we got Masters Universe. That's probably gonna flop. Uh, Scary Movie 6 and Steven Spielberg movie next week, and then June 19th is Toy Story 5. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is June 26th, and then Mega Minions, aka Minions 3, is July 1st. I think Minions Despicable Me, as we saw with Despicable Me, the last one didn't make a billion. I think that's starting to lose a little steam as well. So the same thing here. Like, I still think Minions could make more than Toy Story, right? So if you were to make a pizza bet with me, I would not make a pizza bet that it wouldn't make a billion because it could, right? Maybe people do miss the gang back together. It has been what this is 6 years later, or no, 7 years later, right? That's fucking crazy. Oh my god, that's crazy that Toy Story 4 was 7 years from this and this. Also, we got Lightyear in between. So maybe there is a sense of that. You got tons of people like myself and others that have kids that go, oh, want to pass it down. But I also think that's you get that with Minions too, right? So I think and with Mario, I think with Mario that still transcends so many generations where I still feel like there's parents or grandparents like, yeah, I'll see Mario because I grew up with that, right? The Switch, unlike Toy Story and Minions, where it goes, okay, you just have the movies. Nintendo's all around. Nintendo's pushing out stuff all the time. The Switch 2 is very successful. Mario's still like I would, and like you got the parks. I think I would, maybe not sales, maybe there's stuff, but I would say general audience wise, I feel like Switch has never been more popular because I feel like it's spanning like four generations right now of great grandparents, grandparents, my age, and then the kids, and even the youth that might be in high school or whatnot. Like, I feel like the Switch 2 and the sales there show that, okay, this thing's still plugging away and especially because this is the second one, right? With this, already stuff. Rosalina, that hits a generation. Bowser Jr., that hits a generation. When they show Yoshi, that's going to hit a generation. Where with Minions and Toy Story, it's like, what more can they do? I kind of get what they're going for, and I like the idea in Toy Story of the iPad, but that still almost feels like a little behind the times, especially because they're using like this like speak and spell like learning frog, like whatever that thing was that kids have, right? Like it feels like it's a little behind the times. It could have been a little bit later on. I get what they're doing, and obviously they can't just say iPad, but yeah, I don't know what it's going to do, and that's where I'll take another look as well too as far as April. Obviously, I'm pretty sure the last Mario movie came out around that time. And I think it did obviously pretty well. Let's see here. Let's see Mario. Let me just find the date here. I swear it was April. Numbers, if you would just give me a fucking date already. My God. It's funny what some sites have and some sites don't. Okay, this came out April 5th, same time. And then even then, let's take a look at April in 2026. And then we're going to get into the gray, like, can it just be the biggest movie of the whole year, right? April, you got this, and then you got Ready or Not, Here It Come. That's not going to happen. The Resurrected, that's not doing anything. Michael, that will make a lot of money, but with a different crowd. Animal Friends, is that animated? Two animals become unlikely friends. It must be, right? I'm going to assume it is, but doesn't matter. That's not going to do anything there. Sheep Detectives, no. Mortal Kombat 2, no. Mandalorian and Grogu, that's like the first time you kind of get into the family movie. And again, I don't know how that movie's doing. And then we get into June, which is Toy Story. So I really think Mario could just have another run as well too. So it kind of has everything going for it right now. So I think it will be, and I think there's a chance it is number one. So Superman says, I think for sure Galaxy does worse than the first, so probably not by much though. Oh, see, I don't know if I would pizza bet you that, but I don't know if it would do. I guess 1.3 is tough because that's something where, yeah, because it's the first one, right? The first ever animated Mario movie. I guess I can actually see with you though. Granted, if you were telling me for somehow it does better because you're introducing Bowser Jr., Rosalina, Yoshi, and maybe there's other stuff in there, I could see it doing better. Like I could see it going wherever. I think no matter what, I think it's $1 billion movie. I don't think it's If it does less than the Super Mario like the first one, I think it's by like 100 million, like not like a Toy Story 4, which is just over a billion. And I also do see a potential, like I just talked about right there. Look at the run of kids movie. It really has from April, May, June till itself, like mid June, right? I'm not counting Mandalorian and Grogu because I don't know what Star Wars is like. I think Star Wars' height with children is not that much, right? If people have to pick, I think kids will see Mario versus Mando, and even if it's the second time, I could see them picking, oh, I want to see Mario again, right? Because I feel like it is kind of kiddie in that sense. So, yeah, I think it's gonna make a billion, and then in that sense, like, is it gonna be like the biggest movie of the year, right? Because I'm skipping over January and February. There's nothing here. So in March, right? We got The Bride. I think they're good there. There's nothing in March. I'm not going to say anything if there's not. Bring it up. We went over April. And then in May, Mortal Kombat 2, definitely not going to be the biggest movie of the year. Devil Wears Prada, which I think will do well, but not going to be the biggest movie of the year. Mandalorian and Grogu, I don't I'd be very surprised. As I've said before, I think that movie can go either way. I could see it being a modest success. I could see it being $1 billion movie. I could see it underperforming and doing a solo, maybe not as bad as solo, but something like that, right? I still don't think it's making a billion. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but me and Kirkland had that pizza bet against Taylor and Dylan. So hopefully not in that sense. And hopefully not too, because I think that movie's not going to be good. So I just worry if that makes $1 billion, we're really hooped. Master Universe, no. Spielberg movie, no. Toy Story, like we just talked about, I think that will beat that handily, in my opinion. Not saying Toy Story is gonna flop, but I also don't think it'll make $1 billion. Supergirl, I don't know. Like that's not gonna be the biggest movie of the year. How's it gonna do? I really don't know. It's gonna be a question of her being in Superman. Will that help? I've said before, if it's doing Superman, Supergirl, Man of Tomorrow, I think there's two ways that can go. Either that synergy and people keep coming back, or it's like another Superman project. So I really don't know. Millie Alcock's not a star. She's an uprising star, but she's not a star. And as we'll talk about in box office, no stars really sell a movie by itself. There's a bunch of other just like, not massive names in that movie. So no. Mega Minions, I still would give Mario the edge of winning. And that's crazy that Illumination has Minions and Mario out. That's going to be a big year for Universal. I would not say it's absolutely not going to happen, but let's even go Minions, because Minions 2, right? Because obviously Mario had the advantage of being the first time you're doing it in a proper animation way, but I just want to see Minions 2, what that made here. So that made, oh, that didn't make is it? Okay, so Minions 2 made 940. Is that what I'm thinking? Is it Despicable Me 4? That also didn't make a million, right? Obviously, they're still making tons of money, right? Because I just think we looked at them for a while and they were like guaranteed billions, but Despicable Me 4 that made let's see, so 972. So I actually ended up making more than Minions 3. So okay, so they have $1 billion in a second, where I think Mario would hit $1 billion. So I'd still think Mario's going to clear that. This is when you get some more competition. Moana live action, that has a chance. It depends how big the drop off for Mario is, but with the how big Moana 2 was and the live action movies, if you hit them, they hit right. I think seeing Rock as Maui is a draw for some people. I think it is a draw for some people. We'll get to these ones here. I think there is, and I think Moana 2 is, no pun intended, cooking. I think it's like has good momentum behind it. So Moana 2, that could be biggest movie. Like honestly, there's a chance, right? Because Moana 2 this year, let's see, or that was last year, right? Let's see, 2024 box office. I don't think it's the biggest movie of the year. Let's see the numbers. Let's get this here. Sorry for my slow typing. Injury here. Let's see. So Moana 2 was the third biggest movie of the year with $1,059,000. So yeah, I'm still gonna take Mario on that one. Again, unless the Mario drop off is big, but I don't think it's gonna be. So I still think it's gonna beat that one there. This is where the tough thing is, and Mike, I'll throw this in here because you said it's Odyssey Doomsday. I agree, but I also think you gotta throw in Spider-Man. I'm not completely with people on the bandwagon, but I do see the through line of people pitching that Spider-Man could be bigger than Avengers, right? I think Spider-Man is bigger than the Marvel brand. You know, it's kind of like Batman DC. I think Tom Holland's stock has risen. I think people are missing that character. Again, just like Toy Story, we haven't seen that since 2019 or 2021. So 5 years, not as long, but still 5 years. That's a long time. I think there's some missing there. I think with Hulk in there, Punisher. Like I think they got a lot of good stuff added. I do think I wouldn't take that. If you were to ask me, I'd still pick Doomsday, but I don't think it's impossible. People have also brought up too, when you look at the No Way Home box office, if China would have got released, and also we don't know what it would have been, but it didn't get China released, right? It got close to Infinity War. Like even the opening, I think, is bigger than Infinity War, right? Like hang on, biggest box office opening weekend, if my hands will take. Now obviously we didn't even see them, but that had the idea of the old people coming back and Toby and Andrew in the background. But still, a big change. But still, Avengers Infinity War at third, 257, and then No Way Home 260. So it beat it. Like, and then Endgame 357, right? That's where if you're saying Secret Wars, I think no, there's no shot. Unless Doomsday is god awful. If Doomsday's god awful, then it's got a shot. But let's say Doomsday to me is at least a 7 out of 10, then I think that Secret Wars would easily trounce it. I think there's a possibility where, and I guess what was the final tally here of Infinity War and then No Way Home? So No Way Home was 1.9, and then Infinity War was 2.04. So it did beat overall, even though the opening was bigger. So I just think there's a chance, but I think that Doomsday will still win, and then you got the Odyssey, and that's that thing of like, is lightning gonna strike twice, right? Because when I was looking at this, and man, again, just king shit. 2023, Barbie, Mario, billion-dollar movies, and then Oppenheimer's like 970 something, right? The fact that biopic, sometimes black and white, with Cillian Murphy made that amount of money, Nolan's just, on a different level, right? Barbenheimer, of course, helped, but still, the quality of that movie is something. Can that happen again with Odyssey? I don't know. I don't think Odyssey will be the biggest movie of the year. Because obviously if Oppenheimer wasn't, I think this will also be way more mainstream. And would I love it? Yeah. That'd be great if he was adapting the Odyssey with all these actors and there's no massive, you can say the Odyssey's an IP, but it's not like Marvel or Mario, right? If he were to make the biggest movie of the year with the Odyssey, hell yeah, that'd be great. And I imagine I'm gonna at least like it, right? But I still don't think it will be that, because I still think there'll be some people that it doesn't have the kid factor. It's going to be rated R. It's going to be huge. It's going to be on IMAX, but still the kids help push that over. And even with stuff like a Doomsday or Spider-Man, there's kids that are going to see that, right? So that's why with Barbie, right? Kids saw that. So that's why for me, I don't think Odyssey, and I think Mario would beat Odyssey in my opinion. And then it comes down to Doomsday. I think Doomsday will be big, especially with it being Christmas time. I do think right now that is going to be the winner. But as I've said, with the box office, it's been crazy. And with Marvel, you could tell me there is a universe where Doomsday is not even in the top 3. There could be somewhere it's like people are, you know what? I'm not investing in these characters. I haven't liked the last Marvel things. I'm kind of good. I'm over superhero stuff. There's something that can be said for Supergirl, or sorry, for the Avengers not hitting the old heights. I still think it's hitting $1 billion, but I think if it's like not in the top 3 and not hitting $1 billion, there is some trouble. But here's the thing, as I've said before, all they got to do, which is not easy at all. All they got to do is just make sure to me Doomsday and Secret Wars are 7 out of 10. I think if it's 7 out of 10 and can recreate that great time in the movie theaters, the GA will be willing to give. And if you got Spider-Man great as well, or good at least, they'll be willing to give them a chance. Now, granted, give them a chance, meaning the top IP, big movies, they're not going back to 4 movies a year with 6 TV shows. No, but I mean doing the big heavy honchos, no Young Avengers, but it's just Doctor Strange 3, X-Men, Spider-Man, Avengers proper, right? I think they have a chance. And that's where if Doomsday's like a 8, 9 out of 10, then I could see it going higher. I don't think 2 billion. I think Secret Wars could hit a 2 billion because of it, just getting those amount of stars. And also too, again, we don't know what they're holding, right? There are rumors that I think they're not even rumors anymore. It's much like No Way Home that Tobey Maguire is in this movie. If they start showing that off, that's kind of like a lock because people will go there. It's the legs of like Rise of Skywalker where okay, a billion's locked in, but the aftermath not so great. So I really do think it is between Mario and Doomsday. Maybe I'm giving Mario too much credit, but I just think that it's got a real shot. So we'll have to see. But I don't know. That's my prediction right now. Is I feel confident by saying Doomsday, Mario, and then Spider-Man. That's kind of where I'm at. But we'll see with trailers, everything like that, reception. Who knows what's going to happen? Let's get to some comments here. Let's see. The only star that sells movies these days is the Yasha Badlands sweep or Elle Fanning. You know, Elle Fanning ran that movie. But yeah, we will talk about the Yasha in a second. Let's see. Moana W does not have the staying power of the first. Moana 2 does not have the staying power. No one talks about the songs. I agree, but I think the live action element kind of you get to hit those songs again, right? And see them in person. So I can be with you, Mike, when we get to Moana 3. Then I don't think that's going to be $1 billion movie that's big. But with Moana 2, like the live action, I think that's a different ball game. I think The Rock being there, I know The Rock's had his issues with the box office, Smash Machine, some of the other stuff, but I think returning to a role like this, he's going to be off Jumanji, which will be another family friendly, or I guess Jumanji's after, right? But who knows? Maybe not. Maybe I think Moana is still successful. I don't think it's a guaranteed billion. I think it's going to be big, but I think it's at least 700 million, in my opinion. And that's the floor, you know, like that's the minimum of what it's going to hit. But again, you never know with box office nowadays here. So let's go to the next one. Mike says, I don't think Hulk and Punisher are anywhere close to Toby and Andrew come back. Absolutely not. No. I don't think so at all. I agree with you there. I just think it helps, right? And the same thing as far as I think even without them, Spider-Man would still beat Odyssey. And Doomsday is the question mark, right? We'll see if even like the title of New Avengers hurt that. But I agree. That's the difference of though, like, let's look at No Way Home. So No Way Home, we just said, that made 1.9. So 1.9, it's not going to make that, but let's say Mario is 1.3. I think those characters and those actors and some other stuff going on in home can still, let's say if Mario 2 just makes the exact same, let's say it's 1.3, I still think that can get Spider-Man to a 1.4, a 1.5, 1.6. So that's where, yes, it's not going to get it to a nearly 2 billion, but I think it would get it past Mario, potentially, right? Potentially. We'll see, obviously. The boys are messing me a bunch, Taylor and Kirkle, but I don't got much time. Let's see. Lilo and Stitch sucked and made $1 billion. Lilo and Stitch live action made $1 billion and it sucked. And there's some of those. That's my thing of like, I'm not saying Moana 2 is gonna, or the live action is gonna suck, but I think we've seen same thing with Minecraft that became an event. But I think there's just certain movies that become an event that you just have to see, right? In the live action Lilo and Stitch, people love Stitch. They grew with Stitch galore. I think Moana 2 doing as well as it did with it being meh, and like Mike's saying, the song's not being that good, showed that first Moana had staying power. And I love that original Moana. And even I watched my kids grow up. Like Logan won the baby Moana like for years. There was zero new Moana content, but she was obsessed with that and watched it over and over. That I think it's because it is like a same thing as Lilo and Stitch. It has a younger lead. It helps when it is kids or children and they glom on that, right? And with Moana, the child lead with Moana, right? Let's see here. Superman Mike says, I am a bit worried historical fiction might be too niche for modern audiences. You and I agree on that. I think Nolan's the ticket to get these people to see it. If someone else was doing the Odyssey, even if it's Denis, I'm not saying quality, I'm saying box office wise, I don't think people are there for that swords and sandals, medieval stuff. I think people, they're not done with that franchise, like that type of genre, but they're very selective in taking a break. But with Nolan, it helps. So that's why to me, when you put up there, and we're gonna talk about No Matter What as like the biggest movie of the year, that's where I go back, I still think there's a moment, right? But who knows? I would have thought a biography about John Oppenheimer would have been, or Robert Oppenheimer would have been a niche audience, right? And it wasn't. Let's just make sure we're not missing anything, because I know we didn't get to the fall here, but I think we talked about the biggest ones. Clayface, no. Practical Magic 2, no. Resident Evil, no. Let's see. The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender. That's the animated one, right? So I don't think that. Shaun the Sheep, can't wait for that. V for Vendetta re-release, no. Cat in the Hat. I don't think that's going to do, but Grinch, how much did that original, or not original, the Dr. Seuss, I don't know why, the Illumination Grinch. I'm saying all the wrong things here. I'm not saying Cat in the Hat will be the biggest. I was just curious. Okay, 540 for Grinch. Okay, and I think Cat in the Hat will do worse than that. Narnia, I think could be big, but not that. Jumanji 3, and then you got Dune. Dune, like no, like that's not gonna be the biggest movie of the year. And I still think there's a chance that that doesn't make it in December. And then Jumanji 3. I think Jumanji 3 will still do well, but will be the biggest movie of the year? No, I don't think so either. So I feel pretty confident. I think it's Doomsday Mario. I would lean to Doomsday if I had, won the lottery gun to my head, but I don't think Mario is without its chances. I think it's going to get a lot. Obviously, December is hot for movies, and I think Mario has a great slot. So I really think those are the two. I said before, it's Doomsday Mario and that. So we will see. Let's see. And then the box office, S-Pubs alluded to it. I don't have the numbers because I'm a terrible host today. I'm still out of sorts, but Badlands, biggest opening, I think it was like a 80 million worldwide, and the budget was like 100, 120, whatever. The point is, Alien vs. Predator is locked. That's happening. The third one, I did not. There was a lot of questions, right? Like obviously Romulus did good, but Prey was on Hulu, so we didn't know how well that was going to perform on the box office wise. And now we got our question. It's not like it's blown the roof off it, but to me, both franchises have, like, it did blow the roof off, don't get me wrong, the franchise. I mean, in the sense of like it's a massive hit, but it's a big hit for them. And I think now they've shown that, okay, these IPs by themselves are hit if we put these back together in the right way, which it should happen, right? I think both those Alien vs. Predator movies are not good. So there should be something updated with some more care done that you could get better results. To me, it's a lock. I think it was last Chibi Day. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. So I got 8 years left saying that there wouldn't be a theatrical Alien versus Predator movie. And I had to say the movie had to be called, like, that was the selling point, right? Not that they fought, it was the selling point. But it's over. These numbers are really good for it. I think it's going to have a good hold, and it has good reception too. Like I enjoyed the movie enough. I gave it like you can check out our full review. I gave it like a 7 out of 10. I had a good time with it, but I didn't love it like I did with Prey. But I think there is an accessibility there for people, and it's a fun, just action adventure movie, right? Let me get the rest of the box office here. But also then we got the this weekend we got The Running Man, and then we got, what's the other one? Keeper. What is Keeper? Does Keeper even have tracking? Keeper tracking. Let's see. Box office tracking. Let's see. I don't think it does right now. What? There's something else coming out this week that could beat it. Is it like kids, or is it like a kid related or a romantic related? I don't know. Let me just go Running Man though, right? The Running Man. Obviously, reviews not going well. Has a budget of 110. Oof. Because the tracking is not good. Right now, it's tracking at 18 to 25 million. Now, granted, and I can't remember what I talked about. Yeah, I am hyped for Keeper 2 after the last trailer. April. That one did sell me. I don't know if I'm going to see it this weekend, but that got me really excited. What was the actual? Hang on, I need just to know for the Yatcha and what he did. But also the tracking for that, so it made 40 million. The tracking for that was like 30 to 40. I think it was lower, right? It was like 25 to 35. And then, good word of mouth, whatnot, got up a little higher. Not outrageously higher, but it did. And that's the hope. That was the hope with Running Man. Now, 69% Rotten Tomatoes is not like a death nail, but it's also not like a, you have to see this, right? Reviews, other than for Glenn Powell, seemed pretty lukewarm on the whole project. Is disappointing because with Last Soho, there's tons of people that I feel that they feel like, oh, it's a weaker Edgar Wright film. He's not really there as far as his style. I think it's just him working on some other stuff and doing some. I think his style is there, but he's doing some different changes. Just flexing the muscles, seeing what else he can do. I love Soho. That's actually, I think, my favorite movie of his. I don't love his other stuff as much. Like Scott Pilgrim vs. World, not one of my movies, right? But Last Night in Soho, I love. But kind of sucks that between this and Running Man, seems like he kind of has two, underwhelming or underperforming movies. So I don't know what's going to happen. And then the Glenn Powell, right? We talked about that for the past year with Running Man. It's like, okay, we're going to have to see. And I think it's back to where we were. I think we talked about this in the Discord where there was a hope again with Sweeney, him, and quality a little bit. Mike brought up in the Discord where like Sweeney and quality not comparable. I agree, but there's just a lot of people between certain things that she'd done the past couple of years, and then with Substance being a big deal, the movie being nominated for Oscar, that character being, very lots of memes, get like very in the zeitgeist, right? But the problem is, and as we see before, the film Twitter or film universe zeitgeist, right? And the same thing with Glenn Powell. It was tough where, and not saying he's not viable, no, like still could be a great leading man for many things. Not saying that because there's not many other people that can do this, right? Even Tom Cruise can still be the box office draw, but Mission Impossible is not what it used to be. Thank you, Mike. That's the one. Now You See Me Too, and I think it's gonna win because that's still like people like those movies. And sure, I don't know. I have no interest in them. Any clips I've seen of them just seem like they're kind of generic, all right comedies that if you like the cast, you're in it. So there you go. I do think that will win. We quality talked about as being an option, and then she had, I think it was two bombs, at least one with the Don't Worry, whatever, the detective one. And again, that's like a Cohen movie. It's not meant to be a box office blockbuster, but still in the sense of could you open a little movie, right? No. Sweeney's had 3 bombs. Some of them haven't been marketed the greatest. Obviously, she has other stuff going on, but I don't think that's all of it, right? They're more like Christie's supposed to be like an Oscar type of bait movie. But and then with Glenn Powell, Running Man, obviously was an 80s movie, but I don't think it's one that people are dying to see another reinvention of. I think it's just the sense of not that these people aren't stars, not that you can't put them like Glenn Powell with Twisters and open something. Honey, don't. Thank you, April. That was the quality one. It's not that they're not viable, but it's like what I said before that it has to be the right pairing or group of people. So look at Sweeney and Glenn Powell, Anyone But You. And again, here's the thing. Anyone But You was a hit in a time where the past couple of years, romantic movies at the box office have not done well. Why? Because Prime Video and Netflix and all that stuff, they turn comedies and rom-coms to be that's a streaming genre now, right? So when it came out and did as well as it did, which I'll pull up here, everyone's like, wow, look at this. Yeah, 220 million worldwide on a budget of 25 million. They're laughing, right? But that's still huge. That's bigger than some like IP stuff that's come out recently, right? For especially as of now. So I think people looked at it and went, wow, these two could lead big movies into catapult them in bigger stardom, right? As far as their money goes. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure more people will see The Running Man because Glenn Powell's in it. But I think there was like a mini hope again of, some young stars are rising up. We could be back in the age of people are going to go pay just to see them no matter what they do. Don't think that's the case. I think, this isn't the case. It's to me, it's you strike while iron, like you strike lightning strike, right? That's Anyone But You, where you got Glenn Powell, Sweeney, Christmas. It just worked. I'm not saying ever again you're gonna get somebody. You're gonna get Justice Smith because he's in Now You See Me, right? He's gonna star in some action movie or a rom com, and it's gonna blow up. Like, oh, Justin Smith, maybe he's a new guy. And sometimes it's just luck of the draw with movies, with everything, right? So that's right. One, where it's like there is the any given Sunday aspect. 2, like I said before, it's a combo or an ensemble. And I guess 3 is kind of the same as 2, or it's an IP, but they have the same idea where you take Glenn Powell and like, hey, I like Glenn Powell. And then it's like, well, we've put him with Sweeney or whoever. It's like, oh, I like them, or a bunch of others. I like all those people together. I'll check that out. Or it's like Ryan Gosling and Star Wars, where look at Fall Guy. Fall Guy ate shit in the sense of what they're expecting, right? But then maybe it's like, oh, I love Ryan Gosling and I enjoyed or I loved Star Wars at one point. I'll go see that. That's me speaking out of turn because we don't know if it's going to work. But I think that's the idea, right? It's kind of a before now. It's like if you go to a restaurant, if you were just this place had a steak. Let's say it came with nothing else but the steak. You're willing to order just the steak. Where nowadays it feels like, I need the steak. I need the potatoes. I need the salad. I need the whole meal. I'm not coming here just for the steak. The steaks, maybe it's not good enough or too expensive, whatever reason it is, right? That just isn't a thing. So I think there was the past couple of years, the idea, especially Glenn Powell, right? Anyone But You happens. Top Gun, he builds momentum off of that. Twisters happens, which is still an IP, but still it happens. It's a hit. I think there was this idea of, okay, he could be a guy. He could be the next one. And not that he's not viable, but he's not that where he can't lead the whole franchise. And that's really nobody now. We've seen Rock, and we'll see what happens with Jumanji, we'll see what happens with Moana. He's had things that didn't go as well. We've seen with Tom Cruise. So it's like it's in general, and it's a bunch of stuff, right? It's to me, it's there's so much content people are behind. There's people that don't do what we do as far as the podcast, or the people that are listening that we consume all this stuff. You think we're behind? They're very behind. They're fine to watch a movie that's 2 years old because they're still working on movies from 2021. You know, like that's the thing. I can't remember. I just had a conversation with someone the other day that was like that, like a more GA person that just said, "Oh, I watched this." It's like, really? Like you hadn't seen? Oh, it was my mom. It's like, you hadn't seen that? It was a 2022 one. I can't remember. Like, oh no, never heard. It's like, okay. Like, and it was what, like, whether it was a box office or Oscars, it was something that was more of note. It's like, okay. So that's the thing where the, if you are a regular person that's not like a film buff like us, you could get a streaming service and be good for probably 2 years to watch everything on there. And that's the thing why you get multiple services, right? Because you're not going to watch everything because you don't want to. But if you just go by that and go, hey, I'm going to get, if you're on a budget, you'll get new shows, you'll get relatively new movies, and you're going to get old movies you've never seen before, like the past couple years, and then you'll get old movies that you've loved, right? So that's where it's just like, all this stuff. Oh, there's too much content. And that's where I think you're going to see studios kind of pull back on that type of stuff as well. We've already seen with streaming. There's too much content. Obviously, things are expensive. Obviously, theaters just, I talked about this in Predator Badlands. Theaters just, and I don't want to be like the old man, but sometimes the experiences suck. Before, I was always excited. And now, if it's the right crowd, I am. When you see a full crowd, you're like, oh, it's going to be fun to have that communal experience. But when I saw Badlands, there's people, I get it, they were late, but they came in, they had their lights looking for their seats, and it was like, you found your seat, like they're like talking and they have still their flashlight on and they just forgot to turn on. But it's like, what? There's some guy in that same group that went back in the row beside me, put up the seats. I guess he wasn't enjoying, or put up the armrest, wasn't enjoying Badlands, and took a little nap. There's a guy behind me again who, luckily I didn't see him in my, he wasn't in my peripheral, but the whole movie, every time I look back, he's looking at his phone and he had headphones on. Headphones. Now I don't think because he was looking at his phone before you could say, oh, maybe he's someone that's hearing impaired, right? That does happen. But he was looking at his phone the entire time. And that's where one I go, why you pay money? The guy that slept in the seats, that's weird, but maybe he was with a friends group, so maybe he just didn't like this movie. They picked it. Fine. Still weird, but whatever. But the guy, it's like, you know, I love Predator, I want to see it. Why are you paying all this money? Just look at your phone for, and maybe it wasn't the whole time. Maybe it's just the 3 to 4 times I look back, he was there, but he had his headphones on every time as well too. So it's like, what's going on? So that's where too, people just don't want to go to the theaters. They'd rather wait till home. And that's what I've said before, is not every movie, but people now, especially after COVID, they got conditioned to 21 days, 17 days. It's there. I couldn't believe, I think Black Phone was like that, right? It was like a 20, like it was out like the first week in November. It's like, the movie's still doing well, right? But they don't care. They want people to buy on VOD, and that's where they get it. So it's all changed. So the system's not set up that way. And I've said this before, and not everyone agrees with me on this, because I talked about this with Dylan a little bit. I can't remember on a cast, but I could see the idea of why not. But when Michael B. Jordan, I can't remember if he's not on social media now or he's on it very little. The reason he did that is because Denzel asked him about it, and he said to him, hey, if they can see you for free on the weekdays, they ain't paying for you on the weekends. And to me, that's similar to Sydney Sweeney, where with her being everywhere on, whether it's internet dating drama, her constantly on ads for her soap, or like the man body wash thing, and then just constantly stuff of her doing this and that. Not saying do whatever you want. Go get your bag, get those commercials. I don't care what Sweeney's doing in that sense, right? Even politically, I don't care what Sydney Sweeney thinks, as long as she's not like, you know, like, at the end, again, I don't care, I guess, in general, because like it's up for people to vote, right? Like I could not be friends with someone that was, you know, very, very extreme right, but I'm not saying she is. Some people put her in that way. I'm just saying, like, I don't care, but she gets politicized because of that, right? But that's the thing where it's like, you see, like, I just feel like some reason or another, there's some story or something where I'm seeing Sydney Sweeney, even if I'm going to watch like a wrestling best of video and I get like a, you know, arm spray, body wash commercial. It's like, okay, and that's fine. Get your bag, do whatever. She didn't talk about that, right? Of why she's doing these things and she doesn't feel it's a hamper. And maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, I don't ever miss Sydney Sweeney. Or even then too, like from a movie standpoint, just a couple months ago, she had an Apple TV movie with Julianne Moore and Domhnall Gleeson, which I want to watch, still haven't. If I really want to see that, I'll just tune on that. Same thing as Glenn Powell. I talked about this. Let's say can't get a sitter, you don't got money, you don't have time, whatever it may be, but you're a huge Glen Powell fan. You would very much like to see new Glen Powell. The Running Man's out, but for X, Y, and Z, you can't see it. Well, guess what? Whether you're busy or it's cheaper because you get the whole service, you can go get Hulu or Disney Plus and watch Chad Powers, which I haven't. I want to watch at some point. I've heard it's, I think, a good to all right, but I like Powell, and at some point I will. Same thing though. You can just watch it there. So I'm sorry I'm repeating for people, but it just, the Running Man tracking, unless something crazy happens, just kind of proves again that there's multiple reasons for it, but that idea of just one person selling it is not it, not the case. Maybe we thought that could happen again, but didn't. And then we'll see. I don't know what he has coming up next, right? He still supposedly has that J.J. Abrams movie. I'd like J.J. Abrams to get this movie out because watching Rise of Skywalker yesterday, I need a refresher here. I need a mouthwash. Let's see. So what's he got coming up? He's got a Firefire project with Ron Howard. He's got Glen Powell and Judd Apatow Universal project. Okay, that's a comedy. I think that'd be fun. Then what are these other ones? Ghost Rider, Natural Order, and Huntington. Let's find out. One of these is the JJ movie. I think is it Ghost Rider? Yeah. A newly. The reason I'm just pausing, maybe I could be wrong, because this movie is about. It stars Glen Powell and Jenna Ortega. And the rumor of this movie is that something like it's one of those cases where there's like a mystery world or someone's written about a world, but it's actually real. You get sucked in the world, something like that. It's like a medieval fantasy one, right? And it's a young newlywed couple struggles to survive a supernatural entity. Okay. And Glen Powell, how old is he? 37. Jenna Ortega's 23. I guess they could do the 14 years, right? Like it's, I guess they could go down that route if they wanted to. There's people all the time that do that, right? I just was thrown off guard by that being the whole thing, but great cast though. Those two, Samuel Jackson and McKay, that's great. So he's got that coming up with JJ. Alright, he's in this Barry Jenkins movie, The Natural Order, plot on TBD, and then Huntington, a young man hatches a murderous plot to inherit his family's wealth. So it just sounds like Saltburn again. But, speaking of that, look at that. Glen Powell, Margot Qualley, Ed Harris, Jessica Henwick, Topher Grace. Okay, so, yeah, he's got some stuff, but none of that sounds like it's going to lay out the box office, right? And that's how we kind of know now. It's not the sense, and I'm not saying that don't do anything else with them, but yeah, we'll see. So yeah, today was just a very box office heavy, talking about Mario, talking about that because we covered all the news and there hasn't been much other news. So yeah, I will be back as far as right now. Let's confirm. Yeah, the Monday. I'll be back 11 a.m. PST. If something doesn't pop up, obviously on Patreon, I always announce the time. So if something changes, I'll let you know. And who knows, we'll talk about the actual box office receipts of Running Man and Now You See Me. I'm sure there'll be some other news after the fact. And yeah, I promise. And if, again, as always, if you have any evergreen topics or topics that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about that day, hit me with them, because if there are days where not much news, I'll welcome topics. And if it's something that news pops up, I'll just kick that back to the next show. So I thank you everyone that was in the live chat. I thank you everyone that listened after the fact. And I promise when you hear from me next,